Talking about the wisdom of our bodies and what they can teach us in times of change. So before we get too deeply into that, let's take a moment to connect with our bodies. We want to say hello and see what's going on in there. So feel free to wiggle around and find a comfortable spot for yourself. If you want to stand, sit, lie down, feel free to do that. And if you're online, of course, you have more options. But yeah, if you have cushions or blankets at home, get yourself cozy. First, if you want to either close your eyes or lower your gaze, you can look at the flame in the center or look at your knees if you like, if you want to keep your eyes open or keep them. And we're just going to first notice our breath. And we're not trying to change it in any way, just notice it. And I'm going to give you a few different options on how to focus or where you can focus your attention. And you can feel free to use any one that works for you. So the first option is you can see where you can just notice yourself, where you feel your breath most strongly. It might be on your lips or your nose, it might be the rise and fall of your belly, wherever it is in your body that you can feel it the strongest, you can use that as your focus point. Or you can put your hand in front of your face so that you can feel your breath on your hand. And you could either focus on the feeling of your breath in your hand or the sound of your breath coming out and hitting your hand. Or you can put your hand on your belly or your chest and feel it rise and fall as you are breathing in and out. Or if you have some other mindfulness practice that you use at home, feel free to do that as well. And if none of those are working for you, you can use a visual anchor. We call that a breath anchor. You can also use a visual anchor of the flame or some other point in the room if focusing on your breath is not feeling good for you right now. So let's take 3 breaths together with your attention on whatever point you've identified. Now I'm going to guide us through some different parts of our body, and we want to notice what sensations are happening there. We all have very different bodies and really different experiences with our bodies. So do this in a way that works for you. Some of the sensations might be really subtle, some might be really loud, they might be pleasant, they might be uncomfortable, they might provoke an emotional response or bring up a memory, or they might be numb and hard or even impossible to connect with. Whatever is happening is okay. And all my prompts are invitations, and if you come to a place that feels intense or too uncomfortable, feel free to just return to your breath or to focus in a different part of your body that feels more neutral. So let's start with our feet. You can wiggle your toes around if you want to. Bring your attention to your feet and see what's going on there. How are your feet? Are they warm or cold? Or any pain, any tension? Are they relaxed? And then just tighten the muscles in your feet for a few seconds and then relax. Relax them. You can do that again if it felt good. Now we'll go into our ankles. Are there any sensations happening there? And you can just name anything that's happening, if there's tingling or any other sensation, whatever is happening. And then go into our calves of our legs. Again, you can tighten them as tight as you can for a few seconds, and then release. top half of our legs, our thighs. Again, if you can tighten those muscles and relax them. And see what's going on there. Say hello. Say hello to your thighs. And then your belly. What's going on in your belly? Is it hungry, waiting for the potluck? Is it tight? Is it relaxed? What is happening? And then just breathe into your belly and stretch it out as much as you can. And hold that for a second and breathe out. And move up to your chest and shoulders and tighten them, roll them, stretch them out a little. And then check in with them. How are they doing? How are your shoulders today? Are you carrying stress in your shoulders? Are they feeling relaxed? Then our arm muscles, again, you can tighten and relax. And look at your fingers. How are your arms feeling? What sensations are there? And then our heads. You don't always think of our bodies as our heads as part of our bodies, but they're part of our bodies. Is there any sensations happening in your head? In your scalp? The back of your head? Your neck? And then your face. You can scrunch up your face. Tight as you can. And then relax it. You can do it a few times. And wiggle it. Wiggle your nose, wiggle your cheeks. Wake it up. Then let us just take a minute to thank our bodies for carrying us around, being with us. It's the only thing that's always with us. Wherever we go, whatever we're doing, your body's right there. So thank it for whatever it can give to you. So thanks for doing that with me. If it felt good to you, feel free to do it at home anytime you want. And now I'll invite you to open your eyes and stand up. And we're going to move into our next song. It's called Loosen. And I'll invite you to move your bodies to this song as much as you would like. You can sway, you can dance, you can shake out, you can stretch, whatever way you want to move. We'll do this song together as we sing along.
Loosen, loosen, baby, you don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Loosen, loosen, baby, you don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Holy breath and holy name, will you ease this pain? Holy breath and holy name, will you ease this pain? Holy baby and holy
today we're talking about the wisdom of our bodies. And you might ask, why the body? In the book, The Body is Not an Apology, The Power of Radical Self-Love, Sonia Renee Taylor states, humans are varied and divergent bunch, with all manner of beliefs and morals, values and ideas. We have struggled to find agreement on much of anything over the centuries. Just think about how long we argued about gravity or whether the world was shaped like a pizza. But there is a completely non-controversial statement I think we have consensus around. You, my dear, have a body. Everything else we think we know is up for debate. Are we spiritual beings? It depends on who you ask. Do humans have souls? We've been fighting about that since Aristotle likened the souls of fetuses to those of vegetables. But bodies, we got those. And given this widely agreed upon reality, it seems to me if ever there was a place for the practice of radical love as a transformative force, it ought to be in the body. End quote. The humans are also a varied and diverse bunch in terms of our bodies and our relationship to them. Some of us have pretty easy relationships with our bodies, and they look more or less like what our culture has defined that they should look like, and they do more or less what we want them to do, at least most of the time. Others have a much more complex relationship with our bodies. We might have been taught to judge or hate them, depending on how far away they are from these cultural ideals. Or they might be a site of pain, or they might have limitations that create difficulties for us in a world that are not set up for us. Some of us love to live in our heads and ignore our bodies as much as possible. And for some, especially those who have experienced trauma, even talking about our bodies, never mind trying to mindfully inhabit them, can be triggering and painful. So let us pause again and breathe together. We'll do 3 breaths, and again you can focus on your anchor point that we identified earlier. So let's take 3 breaths. Breathing is one way that we can ground ourselves. And there's been a lot of research done on how it settles our nervous system, and we can also connect with one another by breathing together. So anytime as we go through this service, if you feel like it, just take 3 nice, smooth, long breaths. So our bodies are where we live, and what move us through the world. They're also the sites where oppressions are enacted. Racism, ableism, sexism, homophobia, transphobia, ageism, fatphobia, and so on. They're all directed at and felt in our bodies. Taylor reminds us that when we're talking about violence, poverty, and injustice, we're not speaking conceptually. We're talking about things that happen in bodies. Injustice is an opaque word until we are willing to discuss it materially, she says. In discussing how we have not been able to overcome oppression, Resmaa Menakem, a trauma therapist and writer of My Grandmother's Hands, Racialized Trauma and Pathways to Mending Our Hearts and Bodies, says, it's not that we've been lazy or insincere, but we've focused our efforts in the wrong direction. We've tried to teach our brains to think better about race. But white body supremacy doesn't live in our thinking brains. It lives and breathes in our bodies. Our bodies have a form of knowledge that's different from cognitive brains. This knowledge is typically experienced as a felt sense of constriction or expansion, of pain or ease, of energy or numbness. Often this knowledge is stored in our bodies as wordless stories about what is safe and what is dangerous. The body is where we fear, we hope, and we react, where we constrict and release, where we fight, where we reflexively fight, flee, or freeze. If we are to upend the status quo of white body supremacy or any other oppression, we must begin with our bodies. He draws on research that proves that we heal primarily in and through the body, not just the rational brain. And creating opportunities for growth and to soothe our nervous systems is done through our bodies. He adds that people in therapy can have insights galore, but may stay stuck in habitual pain and harmful trauma patterns and automatic reactions to real or perceived threats. And this is because trauma is embedded in our bodies and not in our brains. The trauma then becomes an unconscious lens which we view all of the current experiences. And I know this was certainly true for me. When I started talk therapy many years ago, there was more than once where I wondered, was there something wrong with me or how I was doing therapy, that I was getting stuck at a particular point. And it took a while to realize that it was, in fact, after a point, I needed a different approach. I talked as much as I had to talk about it, and then I needed to do something else to move it out. And for me, body-based stuff has been really helpful with that. Bessel van der Kolk has also a body-based understanding of trauma, and he contends that understanding trauma through a brain disease model is limiting both conceptually and in an ability for people to participate meaningfully in their own healing. In particular, a human's ability to find a common sense of meaning, regulate our physiology through breathing, moving, and touching, and creating relationships, communities, and environments where we can thrive and allow us to heal from trauma and restore autonomy. So in his research, that's the things we need to get over trauma: to have a common sense of meaning, to regulate our physiology, and to create relationships, communities, and environments. So most faith communities are in line with those goals, even if they haven't really thought about trauma, at least in theory. And if we were to create this kind of environment genuinely, it would create a rich and vibrant faith community, I think. Van der Kolk explains that the vagus nerve, the main communication system between the brain and the body, 80% of the fibers go from the body to the brain, not the other way around. And this means that we can directly train our arousal system by the way we breathe and chant and move. And this is a principle that's been utilized since time immemorial and in every practice I know of, Van der Kolk says. And he also reminds us that humans, especially traumatized humans, heal in the context of relationships. And that the ability to feel safe is the single most important aspect of mental health. And a critical issue is reciprocity, being truly heard and seen by the people around us and feeling we're held in someone else's mind and heart allows our physiology to calm down, to heal, and to grow. We need this sense of visceral safety. So in our community, we are sharing our joys and concerns. We are singing together, we're moving together, we're connecting with each other. These ways of being together are ways of being of healing together. And by building healthier relationships to our bodies, whatever they look like, however they move through the world, however much we might want them to change in the future, this helps us heal, and it helps us enact our work of justice in our communities. We are in a key position to create trauma-informed, healing, spiritual community. And using the rituals and practices with deliberation and mindfulness, we can hold that. And if there is anything in the world that we need right now, I believe it's space to heal the traumas that we are carrying and seeing throughout the world. And I believe we need to create these healthy and strong communities for healing. May it be so.